Welcome to Evolution Revolution. My name is Susan Allan, and I am thrilled to have you with us today. And the purpose of this show is to introduce you to breakthroughs in the human potential movement that work. New inventions, new discoveries, new ways to transform the quality of your life. And as you know, I vet all of them. I experience them. I am telling you that today's show is one of the most exciting shows I've ever done, that I ever will do, and that you or I will ever be able to watch. So the reason is because my guest, Tom Palladino, has literally discovered something that changes the world and changes life on the planet, and I am not exaggerating. And he's got scientific proof that this is true, and I have experiential proof that it's true. So Tom has invented something based on the work of Nikola Tesla and the Tesla coil, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, this is so wonderful. Okay, so Tom Palladino is the founder of selfhealgo.com. It offers a unique radionic healing benefit, and it's a tool that he created. It works on scalar energy, which, as I said, was originally discovered by Nikola Tesla. And Tom focuses on eliminating disease, bacteria, fungal, protozoan, and viral pathogens. And he does it with the use of the Tesla coil, scalar energy, and Tesla used to call this the unseen energetic web of universal structure. And Tom has worked to perfect scalar energy technology. He's invented a tool that literally eradicates disease, and I'll tell you my experiences of it as we do the show today. He's tested thousands and thousands of people, and their symptoms have disappeared. He's got lots and lots of tests and proof, and this is real. And for those of you who just haven't had success with the medical establishment, maybe they haven't discovered a solution for your problem yet. Or perhaps you don't want to go through the psychologically and physically invasive procedures. Or you can't for any one of a number of reasons. This show is also for you. Now, he's tested thousands of people. They've reported life-changing results. He exposes photographs to these specific instruments that he's invented. And he can work on you no matter where you are. And the pathogens are rendered harmless by broadcasting of the scalar energy. And when he subjects you and the pathogens to scalar energy, and he does something called reverse phase angle harmonic. It causes the virus or the bacterium or the pathogen to literally fall apart, to cease to exist in its dangerous form. And thousands of now healthy clients, including me, can now attest to the amazing results. So I'm really hopeful that after you watch this show, you'll go to selfhealgo.com. You will read more about it. And if there is a problem, a physical health issue in your life, you will want to sign up for this program. It's unbelievable, incredible, and truly it is science fiction come to life right now. So welcome again.
Thank you, Susan.
And here is question number one.
Sure.
How did you come to unlock the secrets of scalar energy?
Initially, as a youngster, I studied Nikola Tesla. Tesla was, in my estimation, one of the greatest scientists of all time. It came to my attention that Tesla was not only working with AC electricity, especially the latter part of Nikola Tesla's life. Tesla discovered, if you will, scalar energy. He was really a scalar energy pioneer, especially the latter part of his life. And what Tesla was doing was unprecedented. To this day, we really don't understand the profound discoveries of Tesla and the instruments that he indeed invented and was able to use to harness scalar energy. So it really was my early years, my childhood, that I started to study and have an interest in what Tesla did. Well, today I find myself literally following in the footsteps of Nikola Tesla. So with that said, Tesla was that catapult. Tesla was that moment in my life that I decided there is great merit to scalar energy. I want to in some way continue on with the work of Tesla, and today I'm doing that in a very significant fashion.
You certainly are, and I never told you. I worked for a guy who was one of the most brilliant geniuses I've ever known, and I've known a lot of brilliant geniuses that you've heard me talk about, and Tom is one of them. He was named Tesla, and he said he was related to Nikola Tesla. And he's no longer on the planet, but his sons are, and I'm now thinking I better reconnect with him, because this would really excite them. Okay, so describe and explain, you know, in a layman's terms, what is scalar energy?
Well, scalar energy is very simple. Frankly, I think everybody in the world is an expert in scalar energy. Why? It's everywhere. The stars of the universe are the points of origin for scalar energy. So scalar energy is sunlight or starlight. It's all around us. Scalar energy is essentially the life force of the universe. When we think, we broadcast scalar energy. When we pray, we're broadcasting scalar energy. Scalar energy holds together all physical matter. So whether we realize it or not, everybody really is very conversant, is very familiar with scalar energy. We work with it every moment of our lives. And it's very simple. There are two energies in the universe. All energy originates as scalar energy. Scalar energy, if you will, is a double helix. Some people call that a phase conjugated wave. It really is as if two corkscrews were intertwined. That's the origination of all energy, of all light in the universe. Well, when that double helix unbinds and decouples, then we have the phenomenon of electricity and magnetism. So my point is, all energy originates as scalar energy, and then in many paradigms, in many domains, if you will, it will degrade or will convert to electricity and magnetism. So simply stated, there's two energies in the universe.
Oh my goodness.
The first energy, the primary energy, again, is scalar energy, which will convert into electricity and magnetism. It's again, that's the fundament of the universe. If we understand that, then we have a better working knowledge of our physical universe.
How does scalar energy actually destroy pathogens?
I've developed scalar energy instruments that allow me to control, to actually harness this energy. Now again, scalar energy is not electricity. These are two different energies. They have different properties, they observe different laws. Well, my scalar energy instruments allow me to control matter. With scalar energy, I can either assemble a molecule or I can disassemble a molecule. So essentially, scalar energy gives me fundamental control over physical matter. Well, I've developed a technique with scalar energy in which I can break apart, I can disassemble molecular states, such as that of a virus or a bacterium or a fungus. So with my scalar energy instruments, I can easily disassemble, break apart any virus, any bacterium, any fungus. This is the control, this is the mastery that I have over physical nature. Scalar energy puts mankind now in the driver's seat. We are able to control physical matter. Well, in specific, my research is focused on pathogens, germs. And in so doing, I've perfected this technique. It's become rather routine. I can easily disassemble any germ. So with that statement, I believe now we can finally say that scalar energy will allow us to control any germ, any pathogen. As such, this will ultimately prove to be the cure for pathogenic disease.
And I know you told me an astounding number of germs and bacteria, et cetera, that you can destroy.
That's right.
What's the number?
Presently, as of today's date, my research has allowed me to identify over 100,000 species of germs, of pathogens. Hence, with my present-day knowledge, I am able to break apart, to disassemble over 100,000 species of germs, viruses such as viruses, protozoan, fungi, etc. This, again, is just a consummate approach to wellness, to be able to eradicate the causative agent of disease, and in so doing, to do that in a painless fashion, to do it all by way of light. Light is obviously non-physical. There's no chemical involved. Hence, this is a painless approach to wellness in which we can eradicate over 100,000 species of pathogens. It's going to serve to change the way we look at medicine.
Now, you said something, and what's fascinating to me is that not only do you eliminate disease, but there are so many applications of scalar energy. And the second one you mentioned was that it increases the nutrients being able to be absorbed and utilized by the body.
Right, that's correct.
Tell us about that.
Let's expand upon that. Once again, we're working with scalar energy, which allows us to control matter. We can either assemble physical matter or disassemble physical matter. Well, what I've highlighted initially was the ability of scalar energy to break apart, to disassemble a germ. And again, that's become rather routine. It's easy for me to break apart, to disassemble the herpes virus. I have control over physical matter with scalar energy. Well, I've developed a technique also to assemble what is beneficial to the body. Scalar energy allows me to assemble vitamins, antioxidants, amino acids, minerals, phytochemicals inside the body. Presently, I'm able to assemble over 250 micronutrients inside the body. And I do this, again, all by way of scalar energy, scalar light. In principle, how does that work? Well, again, scalar energy is control over physical matter. So everybody has in their body elements, common elements such as carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, nitrogen, etc. I tell my scalar energy instrument to take the existing elements inside the body and then to form those elements into the molecular state of perhaps vitamin C, or into the state of an antioxidant or a mineral such as zinc. Hence, scalar energy allows me to take the existing elements in our body, rearrange those elements into a nutrient. Now, I use this process on myself every day, and I realize that I am now able to achieve the nutritional balance that I've sought for all my life. In essence, scalar energy is a dynamic, if you will, multivitamin. I'm able to assemble nutrients at the cellular level inside each cell, and I do it all by way of light. And in so doing, I believe this is the perfect delivery system of nutrients. It is energy that is, again, assembling the nutrient, the micronutrient inside the body. We do not have to worry about a metabolic pathway. We do not have to worry about assimilation. It's all done by way of light. Light is fundamental. Hence, scalar energy is a fundamental approach to nutrition.
It's going to be fun to watch this show 10 times so that I make sure that I really get everything. Now, I am on your program, as I've mentioned, and it's been about, 3 months or so, and it's been extraordinary. And one of the things I noticed was that I have at least 3 times more energy each day than I usually have. At least 3 times. It could be a lot more. I mean, I am not young. And I used to be able to start work at around 8:30 in the morning, and by 6 p.m., I was really up against the wall. And if I had a deadline, then I would take an hour or so for dinner, and then I would load myself with the organic flower pollen that's kept me alive for 20-odd years. And it would remove free radicals, and it would keep me going and all that. But ever since I met Tom, I just have the energy that I need. And I mean that I have energy. I can work for 12 hours a day if I want to. And more importantly, if I don't need to and don't want to, I can actually have the energy to go out with friends afterwards, which for decades of my life was impossible. I just couldn't do it. So now, please explain to everybody about the metabolism.
Sure. Let's speak to that point. I've observed that my scalar energy instruments are so high-powered that when I'm working with people, Many people will indeed report a greater sense of vitality or strength, a greater sense of mental clarity, or they're able to work with greater sense of productivity. I think you resonate with that, Susan. Now, how does that happen? Well, again, scalar energy is sunlight, it's starlight, it's perfect light, it's perfect coherence. And I understand that working with this energy and broadcasting this energy into the human body, that is one of the sequence, that is one of the signs of a scalar energy treatment. People do experience a greater sense of vitality, a greater sense of energy, etc. I noticed that myself. I'm to the point where I can easily work 13 or 14 hours a day and I am not tired. Well, without scalar energy, I don't think I would have the productivity that I have. How does this work? Well, obviously, scalar energy is, again, a fundamental, a primal force in nature. Scalar energy seems to immediately, automatically, perhaps, correct our 7 chakras. Everybody has 7 chakras. Those chakras are 7 points of light. Those points of light are scalar energy points of light. So when I'm working with a high-powered scalar energy instrument, that instrument will automatically correct and rebalance the 7 chakras that we have. Well, in so doing, it's almost as if you're fine-tuning your car, or you're able to jumpstart a dead car battery. Many of you have seen that. By way of analogy, what am I saying? If something needs a surge of energy, then a scalar energy instrument will provide that surge for our 7 chakras. Well, it's again a logical sequence. If we can do that with scalar energy, and if the 7 chakras are indeed balanced, properly balanced, well, then one of the benefits, one of the upshots is we have greater sense of vitality. We're able to work longer. Our mental clarity is much sounder, and to the point that, yes, this is indeed life-enhancing, to the point that many people have told me that they feel 10 years, 20 years younger under my program. And that's common. And that can be explained by the simple cause and effect relationship. Scalar energy is different from that of electricity. I believe electricity subsequently drains us of energy. To the contrary, scalar energy imparts energy and really life-enhancing energy, to the point that, yes, many people report, as you do, Susan, that this is just a boost not only to their mental clarity, but also a boost to their vitality, to their strength.
Yeah, it's a remarkable experience because it happens so quickly. Because I knew when I met Tom and we started to talk over the phone, so it was clear when he put me on the program. And then it was clear that a couple of days later, I noticed something really different had happened for me. And, please send me an email if you want information about this. My own experience, I'm happy to take the time and describe it to you. My pleasure. Please do. No matter where you are in the world, he can work on you through the photograph and the scalar tools, so there is no barrier no matter where you are, which is a huge miracle. Okay, next question. Hormones. There are so many men and women who are really struggling because of hormonal imbalances or hormonal insufficiencies. And not to mention the millions of dollars that are being spent on Viagra every single minute of every day and all the other drugs. So can you give us an example maybe of somebody who benefited and also what you did for them?
Sure. Again, scalar energy allows me to control physical matter. With scalar energy, I can assemble both female and male hormones to help both women and men respectively. Well, many women come to me and they say, I have some type of hormonal imbalance or perhaps some type of hormonal deficiency. I have a scalar energy program in which I can place people on a 30-day hormonal treatment. And many people, both men and women, tell me that yes, after 30 days of experiencing this assembling of hormones inside their body, that they see a shift, a significant shift in their health. For instance, some women have reported to me that they're low in progesterone. That's part of my female hormone therapy program. And I am indeed able to actually assemble inside the body progesterone. I don't do it by chemicals. Everything I do is by way of light. Scalar energy will actually instruct the existing elements inside the body to configure, to arrange themselves in the shape of progesterone. I can actually, by way of this light process, assemble any chemical inside the human body. Well, again, the upshot is that people who have hormonal deficiencies do indeed see a change in their health for the better. I treat myself for male hormones, and when I'm doing so,
and look at them, by the way. That should be the advertisement they need.
I myself feel a greater sense of vitality. When I'm treating myself, one of the male hormones that I treat for is testosterone. Well, I feel myself actually a greater sense of strength, a greater sense of muscular strength. And indeed, that indeed is what many people, what many men are telling me. Again, scalar energy allows us to control physical matter. We don't have to take a supplement, we don't have to take a pill. Scalar energy instructs the existing makeup, the existing elements inside the body to assemble into the geometric form of testosterone. Well, this is incredible. Some people might call this alchemy. Some people might say, well, this is transmutation. Perhaps that's a more appropriate term, transmutation, in which we can take one physical form and then change the geometry into another physical form. Well, I do that all day long with scalar energy. So indeed, scalar energy is a means of controlling physical matter. I can indeed control testosterone or any other chemical inside the human body. I do it all by way of light.
Thank you. And I think in the next show, we'll just have to talk about the specific examples, or again, send me an email and I'll tell you mine. And I think maybe I should just write an article about all the different changes I've seen in myself.
Sure.
And post that, in the different places, Facebook and what have you. Because having the experience for a lot of people is worth a million times what the scientific explanation is. And for other people, you just want to know how the science works. And unless you understand how the science works, then you don't want to even talk about or listen to anybody talking about the experience. And that's the difference, of course, between left brain people and right brain people. Okay, so how is it possible to do radionics and treat people's photographs and have these amazing results?
Sure. What we're referring to is I treat people remotely. Well, if two cell phones can speak to one another and you don't have to have a physical wire connecting those two cell phones, I treat people remotely. And the only means that I need to identify and direct energy, scalar energy to that person is a photograph. Well, let me explain. If I were to take a photograph of myself, that photograph has my light energy, my signature attached to that photograph. So everything is light. Everything, hence, is some type of intelligence imparted. Again, scalar light is everywhere. It's even on a photograph. Well, when I take a photograph of myself and place that photograph inside my scalar energy instrument, my instrument acts like a satellite or acts like a transponder. It sends a signal to the person in that photograph. So when I'm treating people around the world, all that I need in order to access anybody is their photograph. Again, a photograph is a source of light. It allows my scalar energy instrument to identify that photograph, that person, and then not only identify that person, but send energy, scalar energy, to that person. Again, to use an analogy, if one cell phone can find another cell phone, or if a satellite can find a cell phone tower or a car radio, then I can likewise, with my scalar energy instrument, that really works in the capacity as that of a satellite. My scalar energy instrument can find a person by virtue of their photograph, and in so doing, I can deliver scalar energy to that person.
Thank you. And aside from the little bits that I've been able to tell them about me and how thrilled I am, absolutely ecstatic by how much better and more alive and how much more energetic and healthy I feel, tell us one really interesting story about a client. I've read a lot of his testimonials. They're wonderful. But tell us one. And then after that, we're going to go over it kind of disease by disease. We're only going to hit the top, the top 10 or so. But just so you get an experience of how this works.
Sure. Just about a week and a half ago, one of my clients told me that they no longer had any symptoms of herpes infection. Well, this individual in particular was suffering from herpes simplex viral infection for at least 25 years. I treated this person with my scalar energy instrument. And once again, scalar energy allows us to either assemble or disassemble matter. So much like some people can shatter glass with their voice, some opera singers can actually sing and resonate the same frequency that a glass exists at. And in so doing, that glass will vibrate and then shatter. Well, if an opera singer can shatter glass with her voice, I can shatter a germ with my scalar energy instrument. Well, that's what I'm doing with the herpes virus as well as any other virus. Scalar energy allows me to break apart to disassemble a germ. And going back to the example, this one individual that I treated for herpes simplex infection, this individual had herpes for at least 25 years, and that was diagnosed over the course of 25 years. After my scalar energy treatments came to a conclusion, this individual went and had a diagnostic test. It's known as a polymerase chain reaction test, or PCR test for short. You've seen this mentioned frequently on any television show that mentions anything having to do with forensics. A PCR test, a polymerase chain reaction test, is per se a DNA test. Well, with this PCR type of testing, we look for the genetic presence, if you will, of the herpes virus. Well, invariably, the past two tests that this individual has made me aware of, both tests have shown no detectable viral load. So for 2 consecutive months, this individual has shown a PCR test with no detectable viral load whatsoever of the herpes virus. Secondly, this individual is telling me that there are no longer any symptoms associated with the herpes virus. So what I am seeing now is a growing body of evidence. There's empirical evidence by way of this PCR test, the DNA test that so many people refer to, that there's no longer any viral component. It's simply not detected. Secondly, the people are feeling better. They no longer have the symptoms of herpes. So what am I to conclude? Well, I've been doing this now for 25 years. It's rather simple for me. Scalar energy breaks apart the herpes virus. I've developed a technique to break apart to eradicate the herpes virus.
Yes.
So with a scalar energy instrument, I am going to be able to declare to the world, and I'll back that up, that I can cure herpes. I can break apart, I can eliminate, eradicate the herpes virus. Hence, if you can eradicate the causative agent of disease, you have found a cure for that particular pathogenic disease.
Absolutely. Now, my story is just about the flu. But if you've ever had the flu, you want to die anyway, right? It's so horrible. So I met Tom just before I was going to Florida to visit my former stepfather, who's 96 years old. And 48 hours before I was going to get on the plane, I got the flu. And I had all the symptoms. My nose was running. I had a low-grade fever. I was achy. I was miserable. And bottom line, I couldn't possibly go to Florida and expose my 96-year-old stepfather to this, because that's just, that's irresponsible. So I was already on the program with Tom, and I understand from Tom that the flu can show up like this, just boom. So I actually communicated with him, and I said, help, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. And Tom worked on me and called me and said, in 15 minutes, you're going to start feeling better. And what was crazy about this is while I was on the phone with Tom, who was telling me that in 15 minutes I was going to start feeling better, I had a Kleenex in my hand because my nose was running. I noticed that my nose stopped running. By the time I had been off the phone with him a few more minutes, I didn't have any more chills. I didn't have any more fever. I was perfectly healthy. I flew to Florida. It's cold in those airplanes. I was fine. I was this close to everybody. I didn't catch anything. I was in Florida for 5, 6, 7 days, something like that. I also went to a workshop while I was there, and it was freezing, and I actually left the workshop because it was so cold, but I was there for 4 hours, 3, 4 hours, and I told them, I'm sorry, I'm not coming back because it's too cold. but I never got sick. I have not gotten sick since I first contacted you and you put me on the program. And that is amazing to me. It's really amazing. Okay, so now we're going to go through some of the key illnesses that are so terrifying to humans. And Tom is going to talk about how long it takes for his clients to get over it and any other information he wants to give us about it. Okay? So, Lyme disease. I have a friend who has been sick with Lyme disease for 15 years. She spent every penny she has on getting cured. She's not cured.
Sure. Lyme disease. A tick can bite people or animals and impart and infect us with Lyme disease. What is Lyme? Well, traditionally it's considered to be a tick bite in which the pathogen, Borrelia burgdorferi, a bacterium, is transmitted. Now, there are other co-infections associated with a tick bite. Ticks are frankly obnoxious insects. They carry so many germs, so many pathogens. So what am I saying? With scalar energy, the process that I've developed, I'm able to easily break apart Borrelia burgdorferi, which is the causative agent of Lyme disease. I'm also able to break apart other germs, now other viruses and bacteria that are transmitted by a tick bite or a flea bite for that matter. I've had very good success in treating people for Lyme infection. And again, I do all of this by way of energy. If scalar energy can break apart a germ, as somebody can shatter glass with their voice, well, again, this is a fundamental approach to specifically now pathogenic disease. That's my focus. That's within my scope right now. There are many applications of scalar energy. In particular, I concentrate on pathogenic infection. Why? Well, frankly, a pathogen is foreign to the body, obviously. It's an infectious agent that doesn't belong in the body. I've developed a process using scalar energy in which I can easily break apart those infectious agents. Well, with that said, I'm removing the causative agent of disease. In the case of Lyme, it's Borrelia burgdorferi, as well as other co-infections, as well as other bacteria and viruses that are associated with tick bites.
And even more frightening, because I have a friend who believes he may possibly have gotten the HIV virus. And if you give some idea of how long this process takes, that's helpful too.
Sure. How long does it take for a germ, a pathogen, to break apart? Instantly. Scalar energy is a pulsation of energy that will instantly break apart the molecular structure of a germ. Again, if an opera singer can shatter glass instantly with their voice, and that glass is no longer now a functioning glass, well, likewise, with the scalar energy instrument, one treatment, one broadcast of scalar energy serves as the informational input to break apart, to deconstruct a germ, to actually reduce the molecular integrity of a germ to a state of chaos. So to answer that question, it only takes one treatment to break apart the HIV virus. Now, I would say going on probably a month ago, I had a radio interview, and we were accepting phone calls. Well, a gentleman called up and he thanked me, and he said, "Tom, thank you, I've been cured of AIDS." Now, in his words, not mine. I've been cured of AIDS. I've been HIV positive for years. Well, subsequent to your treatments, he mentioned that he had a PCR test, again, what some people call a DNA test, a polymerase chain reaction test. And for the first time in years, there is no detectable viral load of the HIV virus. He has no sign whatsoever of any genetic presence of HIV infection. Secondly, he feels great. He has no longer any symptoms associated with HIV infection. He himself, during this radio interview, he said it was a miracle. He declared that not only is he cured, but that he, secondly, doesn't have any other symptoms, any lingering symptoms of HIV infection, and that he stated, and I would agree, it is a miracle. So what am I saying? Scalar energy allows me to have fundamental control over matter. I have fundamental control over viruses, including the HIV virus. I can easily break apart the HIV virus. If I can do that, then this is going to open the door to be essentially the cure for AIDS.
And everything else.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And every other pathogen.
That's right,
And
everything else.
Well stated. If I can identify a pathogen, and presently I'm able to identify 100,000 species of pathogens. Hence, my potential now, as of today, I can potentially eradicate over 100,000 species of, again, viruses, protozoan, fungi, and bacteria. Well, that's a rather consummate way of looking at wellness. In one treatment, I can eradicate now, again, potentially over 100,000 species of germs. And I do it all by way of light. It's a non-chemical operation. Obviously, light is non-physical. Hence, there is no die-off. There's no side effects. You have die-off when you are dealing with chemicals. I'm not working with chemicals. I'm not
Wow.
working with antibiotics.
Wow.
So with the fact that I'm not working with a chemical, there is no Herxheimer reaction. There is no die-off effect. Light is pure. It's energy.
See, that's really gigantic, because you were speaking about Lyme, and I realized I have a current client whose daughter was being treated for Lyme disease, and the mom is a very, open to all sorts of new things. She's wonderful. And so they've been having hyperbaric oxygen chamber treatment for the daughter, which is, very new for Lyme disease. However, there is the die-off. And the symptoms of die-off for this young woman who's about 21 years old have been very, very unpleasant. So this is huge.
Sure.
Okay. So let's see. Hepatitis.
Sure.
Hepatitis is so frightening. I have a dear friend who's been struggling with this the 20-odd years we've been friends.
Okay. I think this is apropos. I have a client. His name is Randy. He's willing to share his information publicly. That's why I mentioned his name. Prior to my trip to California, Randy called me up on the phone. He said, "Tom, you did it." I said, "Oh, okay, Randy, well, tell me the good news." He said, "Well, you realize I've had hepatitis for years." I said, "Yes." He said, "I just received my PCR test results from the Veterans Administration." And he said, "Tom, once again, it shows that there's no viral load whatsoever for hepatitis C." This is his second PCR test. It's another indication that the scalar energy treatments are breaking apart germs, in this case, the hepatitis C virus. So what is my statement once again? Scalar energy is the means to control physical matter. I've developed techniques with scalar energy to control germs. I can break apart germs such as the hepatitis C virus. So the tests now are starting to substantiate my claim. Yes, I'm able to eradicate the hepatitis C virus. I believe in the future mankind will see that scalar energy will be the means to cure hepatitis C infection.
And we've lived long enough to live in this science fiction universe, is really what it feels like, So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to read this short list, and then we'll be able to get to more questions, because I just want you to know that, MRSA, psoriasis, sinusitis and asthma, Candida, parasites, tuberculosis, staph infections, Ebola, Epstein-Barr, malaria, cholera, typhoid fever, shingles, all these and 99,000 more, Tom has successfully eradicated in people. So please understand that this is the biggest breakthrough in health that I have ever heard of, and I'm guessing that you've ever heard of as well. So, so many medical doctors and traditional healers now understand what you're doing. And I heard one, I listened to one of your radio shows, and I heard one. And I think that's a very important thing to let the audience know.
Yeah. I want people to participate in what I'm doing. I am a scalar energy researcher. I per se don't attach myself to any university or think tank. I welcome everybody's input. Actually, I need it, frankly. This is an emerging science. I simply cannot do this single-handedly. I am trying to solicit the support of the world, frankly. I want to work hand in hand with everybody, including the medical community. I do not want this to be intimidating. I'm not doing this to intimidate anybody. I'm not doing this to, so to speak, upset any economic model. I want to help mankind. That's the point of my research, to help people. I see a great prospect, not only in medical science, but for other applications. Scalar energy is so versatile. I predict that someday soon, scalar energy will allow us to have an alternative to that of coal or electricity or oil. I believe firmly that scalar energy will serve as a new way of generating power, of generating energy. And I see that eventually the electrical age will step aside and give way to this scalar age. That day is coming.
It's all coming. I mean, from what you're saying.
Yes,
I think really the only question we haven't answered that's key is the question of families and groups and couples, and how do you work with them?
Sure. On my website, I have a 30-day program, and I offer that program to individuals, or I offer also couple rates for 2 people, or groups of 3, groups of 4, groups of 5. And I do that to make it appealing to the family. It really makes sense to me. If I'm going to treat one person in the family, I should treat the entire family. It doesn't make any sense just to single out one person for wellness in a family. So this is why I offer group rates, up to a group of 5 or even a group of 7. And there's also a lot of logic behind that. Within your immediate family, frankly, you all want to feel better. This should be a family affair. And even in a more practical sense, perhaps, families share germs. If you're living under the same roof, you're breathing and you're transmitting germs. Well, in so doing, it really makes sense to treat the entire family so that everybody within that household is now going to be relatively germ-free.
Including those of you who have small and in the past dangerous children going to and from school with everybody who has colds and flus, right? Because I could never be around children. I mean,
Really?
literally, I could never be around children for more than, an hour, or even their parents in the old days, without noticing that 3 days later I had a cold. So for a lot of you, this is, if there's nothing else that you take from today's show, this is the lifesaver. Now, what I want Tom to do is I just want him to explain to you how you can subscribe and all that. And then we're going to talk about the future, what he's developing, which is the most remarkable thing of all. So just tell them about how to subscribe, and then we'll get to that.
Sure. The easiest way is to visit my website. Again, I'm not working with a university, so the only way I really have right now to reach out to the public is by way of my website, selfhealgo.com. Familiarize yourself with scalar energy. I have written hundreds of articles. You can visit those articles on the website to give yourself a working knowledge as to what I'm doing. And so with that, Susan and I were speaking prior to this show about a dream that I have, and I think this should be within my grasp within the next year. Scalar energy is again, a fundamental force in nature. It is not only energy, but it's intelligence. Well, it's come to my attention and through my research that scalar energy is responsible for the formation and the maintenance of DNA. Our DNA is nothing short of a standing scalar energy wave. If we look at scalar energy, it's a double helix. Well, if we look at DNA, it is likewise a double helix. These 2 corkscrews, if you will, are intertwined. Well, scalar energy should allow us to reprogram our DNA. And one of my research projects and one of my desires is within the next year to be able to develop, to perfect scalar energy to the point whereby I will be able to cure cancer as well as many genetic disorders. Now, all of this really boils down to informational energy. Scalar energy is information. As such, scalar energy should allow me to reprogram our DNA. Well, in specific, with cancer really can be considered three phenomena. It's either an addition, deletion, or substitution of a base pair. Well, it's my contention that scalar energy can correct those mutations. Scalar energy will be able to correct an addition, a deletion, or a substitution of a base pair. If you can do that with this intelligence, with scalar energy intelligence, you should be able to cure most of the cancers that we experience today. And that's where we're going with this. Scalar energy is, again, that intelligent energy. It is corrective energy. We should be able to cure cancer as such. And if we can perfect it to that point, then eventually we should be able to correct a genetic disorder. Some type of genetic mutation, manipulation. Scalar energy should be able to, if you will, download the correct pattern body back into our DNA. And if we can download that information into our genome, then we should be able to not only cure cancer, but we should be able to correct genetic disorders.
And, you know, I just heard on the news a couple of days ago that one of the great hospitals in LA, if you have to go to a hospital, don't go to one of these small ones. Go to a great one where they, you know, have a pretty high rate of improvement, not the opposite. And they've had an outbreak of a terrible infection of some sort, and an infection that they're not sure they know how to cure. So it would seem to me that even if somebody doesn't understand scalar energy and they don't understand scalar waves, and this is all mind-boggling for them, this is an insurance policy. So if you're going to go with traditional medicine, I would say this is the insurance policy because it's so affordable.
Sure.
And then this way you've done everything you possibly can on every way that there is to improve your health. And to me, one of the greatest things about this gift of knowing Tom is how many of us have worried. How many hours of how many days, weeks, months, and years have you worried about some illness that you don't have, that a family member doesn't have, but that you hear about it on the news or a friend has it, and you immediately go into the, right? Is it just me? I don't know. So to me, this is about the insurance policy, because here I was feeling fantastic for the last couple of months. Then I knew that Tom was getting on a plane to fly here, and I thought, oh no, who's minding the store in Florida? But he said he has a crew and his team takes care of it. So I'm telling you, there was this moment when I thought, maybe that bladder infection is going to come back, or maybe I'm going to get a cold. And I said, now that's just ridiculous. First, ask Tom, is anyone running these protocols while he's away? And yes, you have a whole crew. Yeah. So this is 24/7. That is the amazing part of this.
That's right.
Whether what you're most interested in is eliminating actual disease, or perhaps, like me, you're lucky you don't have one, and there's a metabolism issue, or it's a hormone issue, premenopause, menopausal, or for men after a certain age, or at any point in life if there's a hormonal issue, or any one of the amazing things, because nothing's impossible. I'd love you to talk about Ebola, because I think this is something that is so astounding to me.
Sure, sure. Again, we're working with a primal force in nature, scalar energy, and my instruments allow me to break apart germs, including the Ebola virus. Well, I was fortunate enough to start working with people with Ebola, in specific during the fall season of 2014. There were a number of Americans who were quarantined in the United States. These Americans became infected with the Ebola virus in Africa, and they were flown back to the United States. Well, I was able to go on Google and Bing and to download their photographs. Dr. Kent Brantley, for instance, I was able to download his photograph from Google, and I started to treat him immediately. When I found out that there was an American who was quarantined here in the United States and that he was suffering from Ebola infection. Well, it's my contention that, again, scalar energy will allow me to break apart a germ, a pathogen, including the Ebola infection. And I'll go on record by saying that every American that was quarantined in the United States, provided that I could take their photograph and secure their photograph, then I was able to treat them. Every American that I treated for Ebola in the United States has been cured. Every American has walked out of a hospital, if you will, with a clean bill of health. frankly, none of them, not one individual, suffered any type of hemorrhaging or any type of significant diarrhea. Obviously, there wasn't any rapid loss in blood pressure or organ failure. Why? Well, it's my contention, once again, that my scalar energy treatments, my scalar energy instruments are strong enough, are to the point that I can harness this energy and I can easily break apart the Ebola virus. And I'll go on record by saying that. Scalar energy will allow me to break apart the Ebola virus.
Beautiful. Now, in the about 5-6 minutes we have left, talk about what people will find at selfhealgo.com.
Sure.
Because it's, yes, I want every one of you to be healthy for the rest of your lives. And therefore, it seems the appropriate thing is to sign up for this program and see what it does for you. And in addition, there's so many resources, so maybe give us a little tour of it.
Sure. Again, the focal point of my research, my outreach, if you will, to the general public is my website, selfhealgo.com. It's been a labor of love for the past 3 years. I've written over my career so many articles on scalar energy. That website essentially is a compendium of the articles that I've written, not only about my theories of scalar energy, but in practice, what I have experienced. In addition, if you visit the website, you'll see hundreds upon hundreds of testimonials. Now, I want to make this very clear. Every testimonial on the website has been submitted without any duress, without any coaching. These are the verbatim words, if you will, of the general public. And the testimonials really will serve to carry the day. At the end of the day, frankly, are people feeling better? At the end of the day, have they recovered from illness? And the answer to that is yes. If you read the hundreds upon hundreds of testimonials, if you read these lab reports, if you see the before and after photographs, all of this is quite telling. All of this, it paints a picture. And the picture is this, that scalar energy is a tool to significantly improve health, human health. So that's what you're going to find at the website. Go ahead, take a look at it. If you have any questions, we have a telephone number that you can submit a question to, or if not by way of telephone, we have a chat room that you can ask a question.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, well, so that's fantastic. So as we look at the possibility of living with perfect health, I think for many of you watching, that ability is even more shocking than terrible diagnoses and suffering. The fact that you're now being introduced to something that gives you the life that you want, and it's really inexpensive per month. When you think about, well, first of all, I spend a lot more each month on supplements than the cost of 1 month of Tom's treatment. 1 month, I spend a lot more money on supplements than I do on this program. And I want you to also understand that since I got on the program, I've been using less and less supplements. Because you know how you really hate to choke down those things? And I'm always on it with my clients. I know, but it makes you feel better. And you know, you really want to do this because if you feel better, you can function. And if you function, you can reach your goals. And you know all the stuff I talk about in my own work, right? And I have to tell you that this week I looked at this handful of stuff and I used some very, unpleasant words about them. And I found that it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon before I had taken any of them. And I felt great. And then I might as well just take them, they're here, But I have a feeling that as Tom comes back on the next time he does our show, we're going to find out new testimonials in areas that are not just about disease. They're about just quality of life.
Yes. Wellness, exactly. We need sound nutrition to be mentally well, physically well. And this is what I've discovered with Scalar Energy. Again, I'm able to assemble over 250 micronutrients inside the body. I obviate, if you will, the metabolic processes. I'm able to take scalar energy and within the cell, within the human cell, I'm able to assemble inside each cell of the human body the nutrients that we need. So this is the perfect delivery system of nutrients. light allows us to work, again, fundamentally in the body. Scalar light allows me to assemble micronutrients inside each cell. So we no longer have to worry about assimilation. We no longer have to worry about how the body will, and how the enzymes will work and coincide with these nutrients. No, we are actually delivering inside each cell of the human body the nutrients that we need. Again, it's the perfect delivery system for nutrients.
It's a new world, you know, it's a new world. And if you know somebody who's suffering from an illness, if you're suffering from an illness, if you're suffering from symptoms and you don't even know what it is, you haven't even been diagnosed, if you're exhausted, if you're stressed, if the quality of your life is unacceptable and you didn't know what to do about it because it seemed so overwhelming to try to figure it out, please do go to selfhealgo.com. And please, you may not want to read 100 articles. It may not even be more important to you than just watching this show or watching this show a couple of times or sharing this show with your friends. The point today is there is no more need for suffering. Mm-hmm. No more suffering. That's our message. Mm-hmm. And I am just so thrilled to meet you. Just meeting you. It's so exciting.
I'm thrilled to meet you, finally.
Yeah.
We've been corresponding by email and sharing telephone calls. Again,
really?
I live in Florida and Susan lives in California, so finally we meet. Thank you.
And Tom will be back again, for sure, as soon as he comes back this way again. And in the meantime, please email me your questions about my situation and my experience, or please, more importantly, go to his chat room, go to his website. If you're not well, you will know after a month that you feel well. So the cost of experiencing wellness is almost nothing. So thank you so much for watching our show. See you soon, and send us all your questions.
Thank you.